Fight Over Flight podcast, episode 5, The Power of Joy. Today, Angel and I dive into the pursuit of joy versus the pursuit of happiness. We dive into how it's deep-rooted and not an external thing. So please watch this episode. Let us know what you think, and I hope you enjoy. God bless. My man, what is going on?
Let's drop the clues bomb for Fight Over Flight podcast.
Hold on, play the other one.
Here we go now. What? Here we go now.
That's great.
Oh, man.
I love it. Damn, dude, it's like raining outside. It's
horrible
all
out.
Nasty.
I feel it. See, I'm wearing black.
Yeah.
You kind of went the other way. You were taking our own advice, and you prepped yourself up a little
That's
bit.
right. I said it's raining. It's nasty. A couple thunder and lightning. I'm going to wear yellow.
Ugh.
Brighten up the day, baby.
You're exhausting. Oh, man. No, but I like the subject, though, because it's appropriate for a rainy day.
Yeah.
The
power of joy.
Power of joy.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
I think I was actually going to start with this because we hung out yesterday, and you were talking about a lot of stuff, and I remember thinking about the way joy kind of takes place in your everyday. Like, for people that weren't there, you were kind of talking about perspective and how your perspective shapes your everyday life. And instead of looking at things from a negative perspective or, kind of counting your losses, to just flip it on its head and take every day for what it is and not worry about long-term plans and stuff like that, but worry about one day at a time.
Yeah, we were talking about it, and we were diving really deep into it, and then we had to kind of stop. Because we were like, all right, wait, we're doing a podcast tomorrow. Let's stop talking about it so it can be fresh. But I think that's what it's all about. It's about changing your perspective. And we touched upon this on another episode.
Yeah.
But it's like two people could be going through the same exact things, and one can be like, this is the worst situation ever, and the other one can look at it in a positive light, and they can get through it. It's kind of like, I don't know where I heard this example from, but I think you may have said, I don't know, two people are running a Spartan race.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You're the one that said it? It was like two people running a Spartan race.
There's a story that somebody told me about themselves. Two people running a Spartan race. One person was like, it was horrible. It was mud and fire everywhere. And then the other person was like, it was so awesome. There was mud and fire everywhere.
Yeah, perspective is huge.
Right.
It's huge. And what I really want to talk about when it comes to joy, and to piggyback off what you're saying, is that, sorry, like my voice is kind of raspy, and
football just started.
Football just started. Yesterday I watched the game. I was going crazy. I'm big into fantasy football, to the NFL. So,
and this is how literate I am with football. I was like, so how'd your Jets do?
Yeah. I'm like, no, they play Sunday.
Yeah, they don't play.
It was only one game yesterday, but I was going crazy. So sorry, my voice is a little raspy. But when we're talking about perspective and joy, and it's like I was talking about with my mom. So my mom was suffering from cancer. She had colon cancer 3 times. And I no longer look at situations now like, all right, every time, because I used to talk to her, and I used to be like, all right, Mom, what did the doctor say? What did the person say? What did this doctor say? We have to get the doctors together. We have to do this. And I'm always trying to figure out how to defeat her cancer, no matter what.
Right. When
I could have been utilizing that time to spend with my mom when she's healthy.
Interesting.
So I want to tell people that the most important thing in life, I really truly believe this, are the moments in life. There are moments. 4 years don't matter from now. 5 years don't matter. 10 years don't matter. Next year doesn't matter. What matters is right now. And how are you spending your 24 hours? How are you spending your day? Are you constantly fighting the things that are not going right in your life, and you're just like always going after that? Or are you getting to enjoy the good things that are going on because I can look at it, and I looked at it where I was putting so much stress on myself and my mom, because my mom would be in the hospital for 5 days. She'd come home and have 2 amazing days. But when I'm there, as opposed to being present with her and spending time with her, watching TV and doing things, I'm asking her about, we need to do this. Did you eat? Did you do that? How are we going to defeat the cancer? What did the doctor say? And I'm not enjoying the present moment with my mom.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And that's the kind of like anxiety thing that we were talking about, right? Always thinking about something in the future or something behind us. Now I remember why I brought that up today. It reminded me of this book called The Power of Now. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
All right, so it's by this old guy. I actually can't remember his name.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Write
and
that down.
I read it a long time ago, and it was really eye opening because the whole thing is just like a spiritual kind of new agey book, and it talks about how people Eckhart Tolle, that's who it is. It talks about the way people are never actually present to this moment and never actually here with you, and it takes skill to be able to do that and to enjoy thoroughly every moment in your life. And so I thought it was fascinating because it was a different way to look at life, whereas a lot of people like to put things in a box and be very linear about what they're doing with their finances, the relationships, like what are my future plans? And I think that has to be balanced with being here and now and enjoying and not thinking about anything else.
Yeah, and that's true. And we can really get away from that because, and that was like a perfect example where I don't even remember what it was. I think I was praying at church, and I said, I want my mom to be able to be as happy as humanly possible. How do I do that? And, and the Spirit was really talking to me where it was like, you need to enjoy the moments that she has.
Right.
Because you're not going to defeat the cancer. You're not going to cure it. So when she's in a hospital for 5 days or whatever, or however long, when she gets home and she has a good day, take her for a walk. Walk around. Go by the water. Talk to her, be present with her, have a good time with her. And I look at that in every situation now in life so there's actually something that I did. I started, Bianca and I started about December of 2017, right after we went to church, where we adopt a family for Christmas.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, so what we do is we reach out to families who are struggling and can't really provide a Christmas, and we ask for their permission if we can buy the gifts for the kids and say it came from Santa, so that's like,
right.
That's our thing. So where that came from was, I remember like my grandfather passed away in 2017, and then I was hurting over it. But then I remember my grandfather and the moments that we had like on Christmas. That was our big day.
Right.
Christmas. Like I would sleep over, we'd wake up, we'd have 3-course meal, opening gifts, just having a great time with my grandparents and my mom. And that always stuck with me. So I said, my grandfather passed away, but I want to leave this. I want to continue his legacy of creating powerful moments. And so I said, how can I do that? So I said, all right, I'm going to adopt a family. We started with one family in 2017. So it was one family, 2 kids. Last year in 2018, we were able to adopt 5 families, 21 kids. And this December, we want to do more. And that all comes from, I'm not saving their life.
Right.
And this is where now this perspective comes in, and it comes down to the moments. What are you doing in your everyday? What are you doing every day? And how are you looking at it? So what it comes down to is, if I adopt a family for Christmas and I buy them gifts, right. I buy the kids gifts, I buy the parents gifts, they enjoy the moments, they're having an amazing time. 2 months from now, they're still going to be struggling with their bills. Right. 2 months from now, they're still going to have issues. They're going to have financial problems. But 6 months from now, when maybe they're thinking about giving up because the world is against them, because maybe they lost their job, they could say, you know what? 2 complete strangers or a complete stranger gave me and my family a Christmas.
Right.
There is hope out there. And that's my purpose behind adopting families for Christmas. It's because I want to give moments. I'm not there to save your life. Right. I know you're still going to struggle, but I want to give you and your family the best Christmas you could ever have, and that you can't financially support, but you know what? I can for you. So let me do that and give you this moment that you can forever remember.
So what's the difference for you in a situation like that between feeling happy or feeling joy? Like, is there a difference between those two for you, or is it kind of one and the same?
Yeah, so I actually wrote that down. That's like, I think, the major topic I wanted to discuss.
Yeah.
And it's, should you be pursuing happiness or should you be pursuing joy? What's the difference? And I think that happiness is, the Jets win a football game, I'm happy.
You're happy. It's momentary.
I am so happy.
Yeah.
Joy is adopting a family for Christmas, buying them gifts, seeing the smiles in their faces, and knowing I created a powerful moment for them.
Wow.
That's the difference.
I think that's so true, man. Like, happiness is are things that almost we don't always control, but they're fleeting moments, right? It could be a great moment where you realize like, wow, I'm with people that I love. I'm doing something super fun. I'm happy right now. Vacation is happiness, right? But joy is something that's kind of a posture or something that you develop, and it kind of stays with you. You learn to rely on something outside of yourself to keep you in joy. Even if you're sad, you can still have joy in your life.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's such a crucial thing. Like, I don't even, a lot of people say, like, follow your dreams, find happiness, blah, blah, blah. I really believe more that we should be looking for fulfillment. I think fulfillment is such a bigger thing to find and also something way more permanent. And that's what brings us joy. It's like when we learn what fulfills us, what actually keeps us maintaining a good character, that's going to bring us joy. Maybe it's a family and kids. Maybe it's some sort of outreach that you do. It's your spiritual walk, like whatever it may be. I think that fulfillment is the most important thing to strive for, just on a general level with your life.
And I agree with you in that. And I think that happiness is a superficial thing,
right?
Where joy and fulfillment, because they coincide together, is extremely deep. Like joy is deep, something that's meaningful, that you're impacting the people around you, or you're impacting your life in such a way that no matter what's going on around you, you still feel the joy. Right. And I also think that because happiness, a lot of people think that happiness is pleasure, right? So Jets win. Yeah, I'm happy, so I'm feeling this like great amount of pleasure.
Right.
Or something that just makes you happy real quick and external. Joy doesn't always mean pleasure at a moment right there. Because think about this. Giving birth to a child, right? I mean, we don't, right? As a female, right. Giving birth to a child, there is nothing. I mean, I've never given birth, but I can guarantee from what I've seen and from what I hear, giving birth to a child, it's not a fun time.
Right.
It's not an enjoyable moment. It's pain. But the joy behind what you're doing, bringing life into this world, the joy behind what you're creating, or what you created, that right there is powerful and it's deep. So it's not a momentary excitement, because there could be pain. There could be, like running a 5K marathon.
Right.
No one, or we'll say running a marathon, right? 26 miles. No one's feeling good running in the marathon. Your knees are hurting. Your ankles are hurting. You're maybe getting shin splints. But when you finish, and you finish with other people around you, and you have this camaraderie that you just like defeated this major mountain. You just ran 26 miles. You just defeated this. There's such a sense of joy in that, even though it was painful.
Right. So there has to be some sort of, I guess, sacrifice.
Yes.
To have joy. That's interesting. I never really thought of it like that. I think that it makes sense because things that are going to be good for a long time really can't be free, and they can't just kind of fall into your lap. There has to, it's almost like a cosmic rule. Like anything that's worth having or worth doing isn't necessarily easy. And I think that's so important. So how do you get there? Like, how do you get to the place where you're like, I have joy in my life. I'm fulfilled. I know what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, I know that's a crazy question.
It's $1 million question. It really is, because and this is why I said before, should you be pursuing happiness or should you be pursuing joy? Happiness is great for the moment, but you should be in the pursuit of joy, and it's a lifelong journey to really find joy. Because of that, like this can be a very abstract answer, and it can go very long and deep. The short answer is optimizing every single day you have, being present. If you have a chance to hang out with a loved one, do it. If you have a chance to go to the gym and get yourself better, do it. Push yourself to limits where when you defeat it, you're going to have this overwhelming sense of accomplishment, and the accomplishment can those accomplishments will turn into joy. So I also think that joy is one of those words that are super powerful, like love.
Right.
These are states of being.
Right.
Like,
right.
you're in love with life. You're like joyful. I think the center of that's God. I think the center of joy, the center of love is God.
And it makes sense because, like we always bring up, a lot of it is about relying on something outside of yourself.
Yes.
And if you're relying on being joyful, then obviously that's not something you could just like conjure up within yourself. Like, you're not just gonna be like, you know what, I want to be joyful today, and then all of a sudden you are. There takes some sort of catalyst, something that changes and eventually makes you feel differently about just your overall perspective of life. And I think, just having that spiritual level of like believing in God and understanding the gospel, that can really ground you and fundamentally change you. Because it's funny. Did you see Dave Chappelle's new special?
I did. My mom and my brother watched it. Okay. They told me about it. I didn't see it yet.
Wildly vulgar and offensive.
I have to watch it.
But the first joke that he does is about Anthony Bourdain and what happened to him. He was like, this guy was like the most successful. He had a job where he literally traveled the world eating delicious food with incredible people, and he felt the need to end his own life. And then he has a joke that goes on from there. But my takeaway was like, you can have everything on the surface level and still feel this crazy void inside, to the point where you don't even know what life is. Like Kurt Cobain, Jimi Hendrix, all these people that their lives were full, but it was hollow. Like,
yeah, and think about it. Robin Williams.
Robin Williams.
You're a comedian. What are you giving to people?
Right.
Happiness.
Right.
It's happy. Everything's happiness. Happiness. You're laughing. It's good time. But where's the sense of joy?
Right.
The deep-rooted sense of joy. And
also, where's the source of that happiness? Right?
And because is it an external source? So actually, I'm glad you said the word source. And I wrote this down in church. Pastor Liz, who's an amazing teacher, she actually says this. She said, what source are you plugged into? Are you plugged into Jesus Christ, or are you plugged into external things, material things,
right.
possessions? That plug, if you plug yourself into material things, into possessions, into what other people think of you, it's like pulling out a plug in a fan, where when you pull it, the fan doesn't just shut off completely. It still spins, but it's slowly winding down.
Wow.
Right? And
Right.
then it stops. And then what happens when it stops? Think about that in your life.
Right.
When that stops, where you're the possessions, you're buying things, money, external gratification and all that stuff, it's gonna slow down. It's gonna stop.
Right.
But if you're plugged into the ultimate source, you're gonna feel this overwhelming sense of joy that will never end.
Yeah, I think it's crazy because a lot of us don't understand that we have a fundamental need biologically and psychologically to have some sort of faith. We have faith in things all day long, and I've heard this point made before, but we have faith in our car brakes. Like the brakes on our car. We have to have faith in that because we don't know exactly how it works. You're not going to check it every time you get into the car. So there's that binary level of like, I need to believe in something. And having that, believing in anything, will kind of give you a push or like a spiral into, okay, now I have something to anchor my life on. That's not just me. The pressure's not all on me. That's why I'm so against like nihilism and atheism, because it's hollow.
Yep. And I don't mean to preach here, but I'm gonna get like, because I was trying to hold myself back a little bit. Trying to hold myself back a little bit. There is nothing more joyful. Like, we're talking about joy. How do people get to the road to joy? I think you have to find something that's deep rooted. You need to find something bigger than you. You need to work towards it. You need to fight through all your problems. You need to feel this sense of accomplishment by getting through those things. But you want to know where you want to I've never felt joy, say, listen to worship music and like completely surrender yourself to God.
Right.
So like pray and be in God's presence. If you are fully immersed in God's presence, you knowing that he's there and you're open, your heart's open, your mind's open, that sense of gratitude, that sense of that feeling right there, that is joy.
Yeah.
And if you can get that in your everyday life, which you can,
right,
you can be in God's presence all day And then you can do things to help people, right? And you can do things that are outside yourself, and you can accomplish things in your career as long as you're doing it for the right reasons and you're doing it for this internal, deep-rooted reasons. And it's not, I want to get promoted because I want people to say, hey, look, Rob's so smart, he got promoted.
A self-serving reason.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If it's a self-serving reason, you're not going to find the joy.
Right.
But if it's something that it's like, I'm going to run through that wall's not going to stop me. My enemy can look in my face and like be this close, and I know that you're going to lose.
Right.
I know that with my team, with my God, with my family, with my team, nothing can defeat me. Oh man, don't get me started now.
Chills.
Don't get me started now, boy. I'll flip this table.
So let's dive into that though. The idea of like being surrounded by God's presence, right? For me, I always try and explain things to people that they would never understand if they'd never gone to church, right? So I try and like break it down, like what does that even mean or feel like? Ultimately, it's to me at least, it's the truest sense of purpose and reason behind everything that you do. And when you feel that, when you have like an unwavering idea of like, this is why I'm supposed to be here, nothing else matters except for this right now. That's almost the way that you feel when people say the presence of God, right? Like that's what ultimately they mean. Like, I belong right now. This is who I am. Now, different people think they can achieve it in different ways, and sure, but for me, that's what it is.
I agree with you.
Let's read a scripture.
Yeah, I agree with you. I couldn't agree anymore.
All right, tell me your thoughts on this, because I saw this and I thought it was kind of weird that the word joy is in here. But those who sow in tears will reap with shouts of joy, and that's a psalm. So that's David talking.
That's deep, boy.
Yeah,
that's deep.
So I think that it has something to do with authenticity.
Yeah,
and just being completely honest to yourself. And when you do that and you're completely honest and you're even honest with God to the point where it's like, there's nothing to hide. There's no way you can hide it. So why would you hide anything? Those sad moments, those ultimately tragic things in your life can start to turn into joy because there's nothing holding you back anymore. So that's just what I...
Yeah, I like that, man. That just goes with what we're talking about. The purpose of this episode. So our previous episodes have been about anxiety, about your purpose, but these all coincide with each other. They all it's still the same fundamental things,
right?
But we're talking about it over and over because we want it to get kind of honed in. So to the listener, say like, well, I don't believe in God, or I don't know what I believe. I'm still going to tell you that that's the way,
right?
But to still try to help you, to find the road to joy, I guess everything's always so general because, like I said before, if a sociopath was listening to, a sociopath, joy is there is no joy, right. But they're not listening to the podcast, right? Right. So for this is solely centered towards the people listening to our podcast. Joy is going to come from and I hate to say it, but a lot of fight, man. Like a lot of pain, because you're not going to wake up one day and go, oh man, I'm so joyful.
Right. You almost need to...
Doesn't happen that way.
Yeah. You almost need to contextualize your pain.
So
right?
The scripture that you're reading is because I was trying to really, really think about it. Yeah. And what I'm thinking is, there's going to be tears. There's going to be a fight. There's going to be things that are going on, but the fulfillment of getting through that, it's like we were talking about last week, fighting through the storm when you're on the other side and you're with people who you love and you're doing it for the right reasons, you're going to feel like you're in the clouds, man. It's just like that. I was just saying, like the marathon. Yeah. You're running that marathon. You're completing that, not because you want to be a world-class runner. Like the majority of people are not doing it to be a world-class runner. They're doing it to stretch their limits. They're doing it to put themselves to the test because they know on the other side of that pain, on the other side of that fight, on the other side of the battle, there's joy. I love that. It's not happiness. Yeah, it's joy.
It's almost inevitable. Joy is almost inevitable. And that's why I love This verse, it's another one that's just like that. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. You know, it's just that idea of like, if you get through this night, you will experience joy.
And I didn't even know you were going to read that. And that's exactly what we're talking about. Like, you get through that, you will experience the joy. And so if you're listening, you're saying, damn, I don't even know. I don't know what battles I need to, like, don't think long term. You need to think about today. It's always going to revert back to, what am I doing today? Is it meaningful? Is there a purpose behind it? And through it, am I going to find joy? And if you don't, the next day, do something different.
Right. Yeah.
It's always different.
I don't want to press the whole idea of like, you have to believe what we believe, but in order to solidify what I'm talking about, the line before that is, his favor is for life. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Like, just showing you like there is like an infinite kind of idea behind how much joy you can have. Like, you can have as much of it as you want if you can figure out a way to get through those little incremental moments where you feel tragedy or pain or weakness or suffering. You know, and I think that's almost the repertoire of life, right? Like, get through the struggle to get to the good stuff, but make sure that you enjoy all of it. Make sure you contextualize it all. The deep, dark, tragic stuff means just as much as the happy stuff.
So answer this question for me. We're diving into how amazing joy is, but why is joy powerful?
It
Like,
changes
what's the
the
most
way
powerful thing about, like, why is it powerful, you know?
For me, I think it changes the way you see and deal with everything. So somebody who has joy in their life isn't going to need to kind of be a low energy, almost like a leech kind of a person. Because when you're joyless, let's put it that way, you're the person that's always asking somebody for something, needing something from somebody, almost like an energy leech.
Yep.
Right. And when you're that kind of person, you tend to repel people, and that begins that isolation process.
Yep.
So I think that the more joy you have, the more you become a light, the more you become a magnet to attract even better things into your life. And even when you do go through obstacles, you have a fundamental understanding of how to get through them and what happens when you get through them.
You know what's funny? I want people to know that we don't talk about what we're going to say like before the podcast, because we want to make it authentic. We want it to be real,
right,
and we want it to like kind of surprise us. I wrote a list about why joy is powerful, and it coincides with exactly what you're saying. Yeah, it's why this was my list, right? Why is joy powerful? Well, because joy feels good, right? That's obvious. Joy attracts people.
Oh, wow.
Because listen, no one wants to be alone.
Right.
If you're alone and you're by yourself, you're not joyful. You're not living an optimal life.
Right.
You're not. Like, I just don't. It's, if you're choosing to do that, you can choose to be alone. You're not optimizing your life. I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we're fundamentally made to be in relationship with
yes,
one another.
exactly. So joy brings that, and I wrote joy motivates. Joy motivates you in life to go through that next step,
right,
that next battle, that next, whatever's coming in your way, that there's fulfillment on the other side. So joy motivates you. Joy inspires, because when people are around you and they're attracted to you because you're this joyful person, people go, I want what you have.
Right.
Like, I want what you have, So when I see it, and there's different levels to joy. So when I see people that just seem so fulfilled,
yeah,
I go up to them. I pour my cup out.
Yeah.
I'm like, here, fill it up, please.
Yeah, it's the reason you want to be around people like Gary Vee and all these people. Like, they obviously figured something out, and you're attracted to that because you want to learn how to get the feeling that they look like they have.
Exactly.
And I think that's so important, because it gives us relationship, but it also teaches us, and it also shows us how to humble ourselves and ask, right? How to humble ourselves and be like, I need you to mentor me. I need you to teach me. So I think there's a lot of lessons on your way to joy that have to happen for you to say, okay, I kind of understand, and this is the way life has to be now.
Yep. And the last thing I wrote, people think that what does the majority of people want? Freedom. But when we hear freedom, a lot of people think financial freedom. That's like the number one thing. I want to be financially free. So I wrote down as the last part of my list, but the most important is joy is freedom.
I love that.
Joy is freedom.
I love that. There's something that I like kind of experimented with about freedom. I don't know if I believe it yet or not, but I'm just gonna say it. Rules give us freedom. The way that we operate in our lives, if I'm somebody that's very chaotic with things, I'm not super organized, but I've been trying to change that. And the more that you structure yourself to certain things, not necessarily binding law, but structured things, the more free you are to do what you actually want, and the more free you are to enjoy the things that you're doing, because you have the ability to say, oh no, it's not on my list. I can't deal with that. And it might be something negative. So it was like really a fascinating concept to me that, rules are in place to give us the ability to be free, not necessarily to stop us or restrict us, which is what I think a lot of people get wrong about religion, right? It's like, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do the other. You got the people holding the signs that are a bunch of douchebags, like all of that stuff. And they're not rules to prevent, they're rules to set us free.
I love that, man.
Yeah, dude.
I'm going to, when the podcast comes out, I'm going to listen to that, re-listen to it so I can hear it over and over.
We need to, man, because it's so hard too. Like a lot of things that are the most important in life are like counterintuitive, right? Yeah. Joy isn't happiness. Or, rules are freedom,
Yeah, dude.
Humble yourself.
Value bombs, baby. Value bombs being dropped. And I also wrote, so one last thing I wrote, I kind of skipped over. And this was about me. Because I said, well, how does joy freedom for me? And I wrote, I didn't know until the moment that I stripped away all of my false beliefs. Because the things that I was believing in that I thought was bringing me joy, money, power, prestige, this thing, that thing, none of it brought joy. And everyone on a subconscious level knows that.
It's funny because it's always like the looking at the rich people say that money doesn't mean anything. You almost like look at them like, what would you know? You have money, so I still want money. But I think there's a truth to that. Like those things don't really make you happy. They don't fill you in any way.
Yep. And I think that when you can identify, and this is the basically compass of the podcast, is if you could identify what brings you joy, like sit with yourself. Don't even ask anyone. Sit with yourself where you can be fully true. You can strip down all the layers of protection and you can be true to yourself and look at yourself in the mirror and say, what deeply, deeply excites me, what deeply energizes me, and what makes me feel more alive than ever before. And you'll find your joy in that pursuit. And the only way you'll do it is if you, like I wrote here, if you strip down your false beliefs, if you strip down the barriers and you be free.
Right. Yeah. Gary Vee posted something like last week, kind of along that vein, saying one of the most powerful things that humans can do is have the ability to change their minds. So when you're stripping away those fake beliefs, it's almost like, do you have the mental discipline to be able to tell yourself that you're wrong and that you've been wrong for X amount of years? It takes a seriously humble and intelligent person to be able to do that and then change their behavior, right? Because that's ultimately like, and not to continue to get into this, but that's ultimately what repentance is.
Yep.
It's not, I'm sorry, it's changed behavior. So I think that's such a great point that you bring up, man. For figuring out what it is that you believe in that's not actually true. It's a scary thing.
Yeah.
Like I always think about that. Like, what if it was the other way? What if it was the opposite? Would it be right? And I go back and forth with like trying to get a balanced perspective on things. And sometimes it can be scary. Like everything that I dumped all of my mental energy into is wrong. How do I like humble myself enough to change now?
Yeah. And humble's the perfect word.
Yeah.
That's in life. You have to be able to adapt and overcome whatever you're going through, and you have to be able to say, "Damn, I'm wrong," or I kind of fell off the path I'm supposed to be on. I have to get back on the path. It's kind of like when you get into an argument with your girlfriend or boyfriend, or your wife or husband. It's okay to get into the argument, and to not right away go, "You know what? You were right, honey. I was wrong." It's okay to go to the other room. It's okay to be mad and pissed off. But then you have to sit down with yourself and you have to say, "You know what? I was wrong.
Right.
You know what? I'm gonna give it a couple hours. And then 2 hours later, you go up to them and say, hey, honey, listen, the fight we had, you know what? I now see your point. I was wrong. I'm sorry. And if you can do that on every aspect of your life with all interpersonal connections with people, then you're going to see that those barriers, everything will drop and you'll feel more alive because of it. And I actually looked up, there's this doctor, this mental health professional, and she talks about the 5 ways to add more joy in your life. Just make it real quick. 1, keep it simple, right? 2, make a conscious decision to enjoy life more. 3, make your own personal joy list. 4, spend more time with the people you love and with other people who you see, with other people you aspire to be like, and be kind to other people. Wow. So like that list is virtually what we're talking about.
Wow.
How does she know what I'm saying, what you're saying? And we're all, this is not this white, black, Hispanic, rich, poor, in North America, in Asia.
Right.
This is a universal concept.
It's a humanity thing.
It's a humanity thing.
Yeah.
It is a universal. So I went to the Tony Robbins event.
Okay.
And
that must have been crazy.
I've
always wanted to.
I love Tony Robbins, dude. Yeah. So, and he made this point. There was 7,000 people in the room. It was one of his smaller events. There were 7,000 people in the room. And he said, I want you for the next 30 seconds to introduce yourself to people, but act like you don't give a shit. Act like you don't want to be here. Act like this is a complete waste of your time. So we did it. Then he goes to the 7,000 people, different races, different genders, different social status, and goes, when you introduce yourself, were you excited or were you down? Everyone yelled down. Were you loud or were you like quiet? Quiet. Were you close or were you far? Far. He goes, that's 7,000 people experiencing the same thing. And I didn't tell you how to act.
Right.
He goes, I didn't say be distant. He said, act like you don't give a shit. Then he said, in 30 seconds, I want you to introduce yourself to people. They have to like you within the first 3 seconds or your parents will die. Like they have to like you. They better like you in 3 seconds. Ready? Go. Guy grabbed me on the back. He was like, what's up, brother? He gave me a hug. I'm running. I'm jumping up, hitting people in the chest. We're like laughing. He goes, now, were you loud or were you low? Loud. Were you close or were you far? Close. Were you engaged or were you disengaged? Engaged. He goes, this is universal, people. Joy is universal.
Wow.
Love is universal. Hate is universal.
Right.
So you can choose, are you going to be a hateful person? Are you going to be a lonely person? Are you going to be a person who just has self-pity? Or are you going to be full of joy, full of love, full of power?
Right. And it brings up an awesome point too. That's so, no wonder he's who he is, Yeah. No, like, how do you think of that?
Yep.
But what I kind of got from that was the idea that when you don't care, you're distant. And so if somebody's distant, there's something that they don't really care about, and it's just a matter of finding out how to make them care, right? In his case, it was, okay, well, now you either care or your parents die. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's such an interesting thing, man. And it's crazy to watch the way people react and interact around certain things. Yeah. I want to go to one of those.
Yeah. I want to go to his 4-day event.
Yeah.
Because that was like a
4-hour
right? event. Yeah, it was like a 4-hour event. I want to go to his 4-day.
And everybody stays there, right? It's like a dorm, pretty much.
Man. And it's like 12 hours. Wow. Just jumping up and down. And so that's another thing. To kind of, this isn't really so much of a joy, but when you have joy and you have purpose, no matter what you're going through, you kind of bring this out more, where I've never met anyone that is full of joy that sits on their couch all day.
Right.
So what he talks about is getting out of your seat, jumping up and down, getting the blood flowing, moving, right? Moving, connecting, meeting the people to the right and left of you. So there's a secret, I mean, not a secret, but there's a formula to it that you need to meet people. You need to be up and moving. You need to be alive. You need to be challenging yourself. You need to put yourself in a different state of mind. All of that does not take place watching Netflix for 4 hours. Right. You may enjoy the show that you're binging on, right? You may enjoy it because it's bringing you happiness.
Right.
But if you watch Netflix 5 days a week, 4 hours a day, it's going to bring you happiness, but it's going to be like that fan that you pulled the plug on. It's going to slowly die down. And you're going to be like, man, what am I doing?
Yeah, I think that's such a big, I don't want to say issue, but almost something that goes unspoken a lot is people's lack of motivation to try new things results in them kind of becoming joyless.
Yeah.
You know, they stop thinking of themselves as somebody that can experience new things because we've got everything coming to us now. You can go on any adventure you want on a TV screen or a cell phone screen. So why would you risk anything? But I think there's like a correlation between the risks that you take and the amount of joy that you experience.
Yeah, I think you're right. And to kind of wind it down, you know, the purpose for us with the podcast is to just show people what are we doing right now, and that we've done in every episode. And the common denominator of every episode is being open.
Right.
Being openly, when people are messaging me, and you probably the same, people are like, I'm just so amazed about how open you guys are. Wow. How free you guys can just talk about things that I would love to talk about, but I'm just scared to. So I just want people to know that with this joy and the power of joy is that if you can find what fulfills you, nothing's going to scare you. Because you'll want everyone to know. I want everyone to know I'm a Christian.
Right.
Because it brings me the most joy in the world.
Right.
I want everyone to know that I love being around people. You know, I love my family. I want everyone to know that. Why? Because my family brings me the most joy. My close friends bring me the most joy in my life. You know, and that's not an external thing, because even though it's my friends, it's because I know that deep down, joy comes from love and joy comes from God. And I know that so I know that. Right. So if because of that, because I'm now, I just started experiencing joy, you know, a year ago, you know, fully experiencing it. I'm still going through it.
That kind of hammered on something too, like scripturally, you know, joy is a spiritual gift.
Yeah, man.
As well. So it's not something that you can conjure. That's why I say you can't conjure it up, because you almost have to earn it. There's things that God will give you as almost for free just for experiencing him, right? And joy is one of those. If you don't have it in you to look spiritually within you, you're never going to get that feeling of like eternal bliss. Yeah. Really.
Well, you're still, because I know you apologized because you said earn it, but you're still earning the joy, because God gives it to you for free, but you have to accept it. Right. God wants to give it to everyone, but you're going to have to earn it, because you have to earn it to yourself. Oh, yeah. Okay. You know what I mean? Because you have to, because it's not easy being open. Yeah. It's not easy opening up and giving and surrendering yourself to God. That ain't easy. But when you can do it, you earn that, man, because you earn pushing through your, like God gives it to you for free, but us as humans in the flesh, we have to earn that. You know, we have to defeat something in us.
That's a great idea, because I didn't necessarily mean that we had to earn it from him, but we have to earn it for ourselves. Of course, right? That's of course. So good.
Yep, man. And I just hope that people can, you know, here we go. So what people, when they reach out to us, that brings me so much joy, man, with the podcast. Like when people, so I want to finish with, you know, please continue to reach out to us. Yeah. Please continue to tell us how you feel, good or bad. You know, let us know what you want us to talk about.
Be open in the comments.
Please be open. Be open in the comments. And here's you know what? I want to challenge people. A lot of what people are sending me private messages are them being fully open, but they're being fully open just to me. Right. So I want to challenge people. I want people to put it on the YouTube channel. I want people to put it on the Instagram post, on the podcast app. Right. Be open about it, because then when you can be open about it, it's going to be a domino effect where, like we said before, you're going to get people like a magnet to you. Because if you can write in the comment section, oh man, I'm struggling with this, or oh, I finally found my joy, thank you. Someone's going to read that and they're going to go, I'm in a similar situation. They're going to comment to you, hey, man, oh, thank you for saying this, because I was just struggling with this, or thank you for saying this because now I know that I can find my joy in this, and that, whatever. And then that's just going to cause a chain reaction of more people seeing it, more people engaging, and that energy is just going to shoot all the way up. So I encourage and I challenge people to be open about it on their own pages and be open about it in our comment section, not just in a private message, you know, because I want, because the purpose of this is to inspire people to be the best version of themselves, to inspire people to optimize their lives. And by doing that, you need to be, You need to not say, I don't know how you guys are so open. You need to be open.
Right. Yeah, we're all the center of a network.
Yep.
And all of us connect to other, like at least 1,000 other people, you know, within our lifetime. So by saying that one thing that you might be hesitant to say, it's going to open up the doors for lots more people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Man, I think this was the most joyous rainy day.
Yeah, right. And it's funny. I want to say this before, but then I just get so caught up and excited in this, and I sometimes I miss what I wanted to talk about. But don't let the weather dictate your mood, man.
Yeah.
Don't let it dictate it. It's raining. It's nasty. I mean, it's probably gonna be like this for the rest of the night.
Yeah.
Don't let it mess you up, man.
It's true.
Don't let it strip away the moment that you have in life right now to fully be alive, man. You know. Yes, subscribe, comment, share, like, talk to us. I never want to end this.
Yeah, I know.
I never want to end, dude, because then I got to go home. I don't want to go home, man. I want to just be with my boys.
All right. You let us know what you want us to talk about, too. Give us some ideas.
Yeah, definitely. Please give us ideas.
And I guess we'll see you in a week.
Yeah, my man Ange. Love you, brother.
Love you, bro.
God bless.